The BCCI's decision to actually reintroduce the yo-yo test and introduce the DEXA in a bid to improve the fitness of cricket players in general was a move that by and large was lauded by, in fact, most people who were involved with the sport and even fans in general. After all, fitness in recent times has been a bit of a concern. However, that doesn't mean that the introduction of the yo-yo test or reintroduction of the yo-yo test has gone down well in all quarters. In fact, former India captain Sunil Gavaskar is perhaps one of the more harsher critics of the test and has in fact come up with a new criticism for the system, which he made in a column for the newspaper Midday. Now let's just quickly go over the more interesting parts of what exactly it is that he said in said column, and a lot of it was focused around, of course, the yo-yo test and whether or not you need to have such a kind of one-size-fits-all approach to fitness. In fact, Gavaskar's exact quote is, "There is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to fitness. Quick bowlers need a different level than spinners, wicket keepers need an even higher level, and batters perhaps the least. Cricket fitness should be the prime consideration." Now this, to be fair, is not a new argument that has been made either by Sunil Gavaskar or of people who have been a critic of the standards that are being used to judge a player's fitness. The argument is that the yo-yo test, which to be fair is something that is made more for team sports like say football or hockey, where everyone will be running around at the same time, is actually more applicable to such sports rather than a sport like cricket. In fact, Gavaskar himself talked about in this same column, he talked about a story from his days as a player where certain selectors who were former players came up to him as well as others and said that, look, you need to be focusing more on long distance running and getting fitter like that, and because it's an important part of sport today. In fact, in that he said that, look, he talks about a condition he suffered from, and he says that I suffer from a condition called shin splits, where doing even 2 laps of a ground would make the muscles around my shin seize up and ensure that I couldn't even walk properly for a number of days. Saying I told them being the selectors, to drop me if they were going to pick the 11 based on who ran the most. Now again, this is in some ways, or in fact in many ways, a valid point that how fast or how slow a player runs or how much of a distance can be covered by players shouldn't just be the main criteria, because cricket is a unique sport and there need to be fitness methods or fitness strategies involved based on the role that a player plays. In fact, as Gavaskar was correctly pointing out, that the fitness requirements of a wicketkeeper batsman will be different to that of just a pure batsman, and that one of an all-rounder or pace bowler or spin bowler would also vary, or what kind of focus there should be is something that can't really be a one-size-fits-all approach. And in fact, interestingly, it's not just Sunil Gavaskar who feels this way, but also the man who pioneered the yo-yo test in general. In fact, in an interview a long time ago to an Indian publication, he said very clearly that you have to be careful when using it being the yo-yo test, as a selection criteria in sports like cricket. What is more important is to use this as a tool to measure and get better. Now, that's the key part. It's not something that should be used as a selection criteria. Rather, it should be used as a tool to measure a player's fitness and then help them improve their overall fitness, but keeping it as a sole selection criterion for players, which, to be fair, is very much what is being done by the BCCI now and what has been done by the BCCI in the past as well. According to the person who invented the test himself, well, he thinks that should not really be the case, and that is why it is important to note what it is that Gavaskar said in this particular case, and what not just him but many other former players. Kapil Dev has spoken out against the need for yo-yo tests in the past. Harbhajan Singh has also been a vocal critic of the system, saying that it doesn't really measure your fitness for a sport like cricket. It is better suited to sports like hockey and golf or basketball, where a player is running up and down, because the fitness test requires a player to run one way then run the other way. He's saying that this doesn't happen often in a sport like cricket, maybe only for batsmen, but if you're a fielder, if you're a bowler, you'd be working your muscles in a different way. So that is why it is important to note what it is that Gavaskar said, and that rather than use the yo-yo test as a sole selection criterion, saying that if this player can't pass this level on the yo-yo test, then they're not fit. It should be something that is used to benchmark one's fitness against others and help the ones who are less unfit actually get better. In fact, the inventor of the yo-yo test also made it very clear that for a sport like cricket, you need to lower the threshold or lower the score. So the minimum score in this case would be 16.1. He's saying that would be ideal for cricketers rather than looking to aim higher than that, because again, whilst it would improve their overall fitness, it might not necessarily help them play their sport better. So in a nutshell, the yo-yo test is not something that's a bad thing, but maybe, just maybe, there needs to be some discussion or rediscussion over whether or not it needs to be a sole selection criteria. But that's just how I and others like Sunil Gavaskar feel about this. Well, what do you guys think? Well, you can let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell icon so you know when it is we're going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Then you can also go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and last but not least, don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Thank you all once again for joining us. As always, I've been Shayan Dias. I hope to see you with us through the day, but for now, goodbye.